Well, let's move right on then and dissect Sheela Foam's numbers. The Q4 margins have been lower, although the net profit has scaled up quite smartly. The stock's holding out in the green. And we have with us right now Rahul Gautam, who's the executive chairman of Sheela Foam, here to talk about the numbers in greater detail. Thank you, sir, for taking time out. I'd like to begin then with the overall picture because it's looking fairly strong. But I guess the only disconcerting factor is the margin picture this time around. I'm just wondering what the outlook is in terms of your overall margins. Do you believe that the high raw material prices particularly have weighed on margins when it comes to the Spain operations and back home? What's the outlook on the all-round numbers?
Good morning. Thank you very much for inviting me. So I think the overall picture as the Q4 and the last year closed, I would say is reasonably satisfying for us. The top line appears to be a little low, but that's only because the raw material prices had really gone down a lot, and some of the B2Bs and some of the comfort foams in the market, we had to reduce those prices. However, when we look at the quantum of EBITDA or the total absolute EBITDA, both on Sheela Foam standalone or even the India business or even the consolidated business, we have held the numbers to what they were the previous year. So to me, it all looks very satisfying.
Aggregate volume growth then, let's look at it, because if prices were down because raw material prices were down, that's a pass-through. Then volume should have picked up.
So actually, volumes have picked up the way that we measure, but it's the total number of, on the mattresses side, we measure by the total number of mattresses, and on the other side, which is really the B2B and the other part, we do it by the tons. So, and that has been right across, whether in India, Australia, or Spain, the volumes are up.
What about market share? Have you managed to gain market share in this entire, patch?
I would put that as a gain, a marginal gain. But since there is no absolute measurement, and sometimes when the year closes, then you get an idea of how the raw material guys, sort of collate the numbers and share with you. But all the feedback that we have marginally gained on the market share.
When I travel in India, I can only see construction. I can see the housing sector is going through a real boom. Housing means more mattress sales. If the sector is going through a boom, can I say for 3 or 4 years, the business which you represent, which is selling comfortable mattresses, that also will go through a boom?
Absolutely. But there is always a bit of a time lag from the time that the construction takes place to the time that people move in and start looking at the improvement areas inside the home. It has to happen. It will. It's only maybe a year or 2 years down the line, but for sure it will.
Okay. What about the synergy benefits after the acquisition? You've been guiding for a 3 to 4% synergistic benefit which could kick in. Will we see evidence of that in FY25?
Yes. So the acquisition really took place in the middle of October. It's just been a quarter and a half that has gone by. But we can see that some of the things, the back end synergies are already in place, and we can start feeling them, and even the front end part of it. So integrations are not the easiest of things, but it's progressing well. And I would say FY25 would definitely see that the numbers that I have talked to you about, or we have talked to you about.
And what are your projected marketing spends going forward?
So we've been doing at about 6-7%, and we see that kind of holds. But it's because it happens in a particular quarter. Sometimes it feels like a bit of a large number, but our spends are increasing. We've already done some work for Sleepwell. As far as the new acquisition, which is Kurlon, the launch is on the 9th of June. That is the Indo-Pak cricket match that is coming up. So the new and the reformed and Kurlon is being launched at that time. And our absolute numbers will definitely increase, and hopefully they will convert to the top line, and therefore the percentages may not move too much, but the numbers are going to be in. There is a good, robust plan in place for both sleeper and kurlon.
Is there a whole concept of replacement demand in your sector? There are replacement demand in cars, tires, everything.
Yeah, very interesting question, and a very valid question. Actually, we have been looking at the two big events when people actually buy mattresses. One is, of course, the wedding times when it's given away. The second is when they move houses or shift to a new place. The replacement part is not so evident in our industry as yet, but that to me is the third biggest aspect, which we are putting a program in place for shaking people up to say, look, it's been 6 years or 7 years or 8 years, and now you need to change your mattress. But by and large, because it doesn't deteriorate, it doesn't go away anywhere, and whatever is the hygiene part of it is not really felt so directly. Therefore, people tend to be very complacent about it. But that's the next big one, and I actually have hit the nail on the head. That's the area where after 6, 7 years, max 8, 9 years, that you should go and change your mattress.
Is the whole luxury effect which you are feeling in your industry? Every sector is going through what could be called as style, comfort, uptrading. Is there something which also is visible in your sector, and are you also feeling that wave?
Not really, not the way that you would compare with all the other sectors that you talked about. We must appreciate that this is not a very visible product. Once it goes into the bedroom covered by a bed sheet, it's kind of forgotten. But it's that area that we constantly work. We constantly work towards raising the average selling prices. And these advertisements and the promotions that I'm talking about are all in that direction. We do, of course, see marginal increases, but the real luxury scent, we are looking at addressing it a little differently, but it will be a very small market. It's just a small tip there at the moment, but we intend addressing it.
Okay, appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining in, Mr. Gautam, and giving us a view on how business is shaping up. So yes, the lower raw material prices have affected the top line growth, but absolute revenues will continue to rise with the Kurlon acquisition.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.